Joining us now, staff writer for The Atlantic, David Frum. He's the author of a new piece titled Test of Strength. In it, David writes this: the action that most urgently needs to follow the Iranian attack is not action in the Middle East. It is action in Washington. The drones fired at Israel are the same drones terrorizing Ukraine. An Iranian design originally exported to Russia, now manufactured in Russia. Ukraine's self-defense against Russian aggression has been sabotaged by Trump-loyal Republicans in Congress. Because of Donald Trump, Republicans are now the party of foreign policy weakness, passivity, and surrender, and not only to Russia. Republican refusal to aid Ukraine has also denied Israel money to replenish its Iron Dome defenses. Biden's superpower is his ability to work with unlikely people. His administration continues to hope that Speaker Mike Johnson will someday allow a vote on Ukraine aid. After the Iran attack, now is the time for Biden to make Trump's foreign policy weakness painful and personal to Trump's party. Say, Trump's not even for America second. Never mind America first. David Frum writing there in The Atlantic. So, David, we did hear yesterday from Speaker Johnson. He's proposing 4 separate foreign aid bills to have them parceled out. They are in one bill over in the Senate. He wants to give his members the ability to vote individually on aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel, aid to Taiwan, and then a larger defense bill as well. What do you make of that approach? And do you expect at long last, after this months of sitting on their hands, that they'll get some money to Ukraine?
It's not a month of sitting on their hands. Context here. In the year 2022, the Russians attacked Kiev in February of 2022. In that year, a Democratic-controlled House passed 4 measures of assistance to Ukraine, totaling $75 billion. The House, of course, switched hands in November of 22, and since then, not a dime has been voted for Ukraine. It was a whole year without it. The president asked for more money in August, didn't get it. The government was extended in September, no money for Ukraine. On October 7th, Hamas struck Israel in that terrible act of atrocity. On October 20th, the president asked for a big bill, this time Ukraine, plus Israel, plus Indo-Pacific, plus money for the border. The money for Israel that the president asked for 6 months ago would have sufficed to triple the strength of Israel's Iron Dome defense. It's been 6 months since October 7th, where Speaker Johnson has not acted for Israel. It's been now almost a year plus, more than a year since he has not acted on Ukraine. I mean, Speaker Johnson wasn't in charge the whole time, but his Republican majority. We are way, way past due. Ukraine is bleeding. The border is open. Israel is under attack. Funds are needed. I mean, the whole world needs America. Where is America?
David, switching topics here. You've got a new piece out just this morning in The Atlantic. Debate an indicted traitor? Yeah. No. And you point out that all the television networks last week issued a statement saying that there is simply no substitute for the candidates debating with each other. Your response is, one of your responses, President Biden's spokesperson should answer like this: the Constitution is not debatable. The president does not participate in forums with a person under criminal indictment for his attempt to overthrow the Constitution. Spell that out a bit.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about whether President Biden should debate defendant Trump. And some people say yes, some people say no. And earlier this week, a consortium of TV networks asked that the debate go ahead. Now, you'll hear people say the president shouldn't do it because Trump is obnoxious, Trump is a jerk. None of that enters into it. Candidate Biden rightly debated President Trump, then President Trump in 2020. Hillary Clinton debated Trump in 2016, as obnoxious as he was to her. But Trump is now, we need to take this seriously. He is under criminal indictment, and not just for the trial in New York for the hush money, but for crimes against the Constitution, for trying to overthrow an election. I mean, would the president do an event with the Weather Underground? Would the president do an event with the Black Panthers? Would the president do an event with the Proud Boys or any other, group of people involved in indicted crimes? It's not a matter of an opinion. It's not Biden's personal dislike. It's a juridical fact that Donald Trump has been indicted for violent crimes to overthrow an election and against the Constitution. The president shouldn't be on the stage with such a person.
Well, David, let's get your take, though, to a couple of counter-arguments to that. One would be that the Democratic Party has always been the one they fashioned themselves as the party for democracy, the party for debates. They're the ones who, who have pushed, previously when Republicans have been reluctant to have debates, they've said we need to have them. And they potentially, if President Biden were to suddenly not, that would be a risky play. But also, just let's look at the sheer politics of this. If the president's reelection campaign were to follow your advice and he says no to debate, there are going to be plenty of people out there saying, well, that's because President Biden is ducking him because he's too old, he's not up for it, whatever it might be. So your point is well taken about Trump being a defendant in at least one in multiple criminal trials, potentially. But there are other political counters here. How would you address those?
Well, let me address the political and then the other. The political is, look, there's a saying in the news business, it's not a scoop unless you play it like a scoop. There should be a saying in law, it's not a crime unless you act like a crime. How do Americans understand that what Donald Trump did was something so out of the usual? Look, the TV executives in their statement said the stakes are very high in this election. Well, the stakes were high in 1980 when Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan had a huge debate over the whole shape of the American government. And the stakes were high in 2004 when George Bush and John Kerry faced off on whether to stay the course in Iraq or have an early exit from the war. Those are very important elections. But in this case, it's not Biden's opinion that Trump is an indicted violent criminal. It is a grand jury that indicted Trump. And we have a juridical fact. If Biden goes on the stage with him, Biden is saying in a way, he's agreeing, look, the plot to overthrow the Constitution is one important issue, but there are others, because we're going to talk about overthrowing the Constitution, we're going to talk about grocery prices, we're going to talk about abortion. It's just one issue out of many. And what you're giving people permission to do is to say, well, look, I'm not with Trump on the overthrowing the Constitution by violence part, but I am worried about these food prices. Now, the election will be decided on food prices. It will be decided on abortion. I understand most people don't vote on these fundamental issues. I mean, I'm going to be voting based on Ukraine and democracy. I'm an oddball. I accept that. But the meaning of this election in history, when they teach it 100 years from now in high school, they won't be talking about abortion. They won't be talking about grocery prices. They'll be talking about, did the United States stand by the structure of world peace that is symbolized by NATO? Did the United States maintain that it is illegal and improper to overthrow the Constitution by violence? Or did it yield on those 2 points? Because the effect of this election, what's on the ballot, is the Constitution itself. And that really should not be up for debate.
Staff writer at The Atlantic, David Frum, thank you for that. And David, I hope this is okay, but Joe and I both read the piece that you wrote about your daughter, Miranda's last gift. It's in The Atlantic for anyone. It was so moving and so beautiful. And you captured your daughter, her wit, the struggle, the grief, the humor of loving her, and her dog, which she left you, and apparently the dog doesn't respect you and considers you to be his assistant. So I hope you are treating the dog with the respect Miranda expected Ringo to deserve. But Joe and I read it, and we sat in silence for many moments, just so moved by how incredibly generous it was for you to write.
Well, it's very hard for me to, I wasn't prepared for that, so it's hard for me to speak, but
I'm so sorry.
I thank you. I thank you. I hope people read it and that more people know Miranda and Ringo too.
Yes.
As you say, he doesn't respect me, but I try to respect him.
I'm sorry to sort of surprise you with this, but it was such a beautiful piece, and I couldn't let it go by without mentioning it. David Frum,
thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. We really appreciate it. All right.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.